We've seen it many times. A company or an organization that seems like it's on top of the world, it seems like everything's going good, and then all of a sudden it just goes out from under, and these organizations that you thought were going to be around forever start laying off employees. They start having to make really tough financial decisions, and then they just push people out the door. Or even on a personal level, maybe this is something that touches at home. I know this is something that touches at home for me, but you start a new project and you're really excited about it at first, and you do it a couple times, you're able to stick with it for a couple months, and then eventually the project is sitting on your shelf collecting dust. Or maybe it's, something that you haven't logged into in a while, haven't uploaded a video in a while, and it just sits there with no upkeep and no commitment to it. And at first it was strong, and now it's gone. But we've all kind of been there. We've all kind of done stuff. But today I wanted to talk about the lessons that I've learned from failure, the lessons that I've learned from personal experience of going through things that looking back on it now, you have to sit back and wonder, why did that happen? Why did things go the way that they did? Maybe it's a YouTube channel that you try to start. Maybe it's a business that you try to start. Maybe it's something that you try to do with your friends or some sort of special project, and you were never able to see it through, or it never actually manifested into the real life, or maybe it did for a while and then it went away really quick, or maybe it took a while. But I wanted to kind of go over that because it's something that I've thought about a lot, and it's something that I think will help a lot of people that are listening, and something that will help me even kind of work through some of the things that I struggle with in trying to figure out what I can take from there and bring into my new projects, bring into my new things that I'm doing, and not make the same mistakes again. But, the couple things that I've thought about, I've been a part of a couple different organizations, a couple different startups, and I particularly remember one that failed, and it failed miserably, and it had all the signs of good growth. It had all the signs of having potential. And, we had a staff, we had leadership on that staff, and we were able to kind of come together in unity and potentially create a product and really make a difference and really make an impact in something that should have been, by all means, really successful. But then it just never manifested. It never stopped. We got rolling, and then we got to a point, and it almost felt like we plateaued and we couldn't push forward no matter what we did. And so eventually we dissolved it and separated and parted and went our own ways. And so you always think about, was it that we built a horrible team? Was it that we had horrible leadership? Was it that we truly were not as good as we thought we were? You think all those kinds of things. Maybe the product wasn't as good as it should have been. Maybe we should have changed the product, or maybe we thought it was going to be easier than what it turned out to be. Maybe it was supposed to be something that took off a lot faster, and maybe we had bad expectations for why we failed at this startup, and then had to walk away. And even just personally, even with this own YouTube channel, a YouTube channel that I'm now operating and running, I thought it was going to go a lot faster and a lot quicker than what it turned out to be, and I thought we were going to be able to scale it a lot better, but it didn't. It took more time and commitment, and it didn't quite meet my expectations. Now, it's better than what I could have hoped, but it's definitely a humbling experience to come to a situation and realize, like, this is not what I thought it was, and I have to push forward and keep working. And I'm still working, I'm still doing it, but I'm finally starting to see the growth that I wanted to see originally, and now I'm starting to see that now. But that actually took something that I didn't expect. I kept looking into, maybe it was the type of content I was creating, maybe it was my stuff wasn't that good, or maybe it was that the topics that I was picking, or the things that I was picking, wasn't really needed or necessary, and then I really had to come to a place of understanding of a lot of it was coming from me. So I think that's one of the big things I wanted to share, because I thought about this, and as I started to realize in my own personal life, and connecting the dots, I began to see that failing to realize that everything about my startup, your business, your dream, my dream, whatever, the culture, the operations, the standards that you hold, It's all an extension of yourself. There's a lot of books that teach it, but that honestly is what makes the pitfalls so painful and the achievements so powerful. Because you get to this place where you begin to realize that the success or failure of anything that you go out and try to build from scratch is a direct reflection. It's a mirror of who you are. And really, there's no better mirror, honestly, to find out who you really are in Western culture, maybe outside of like joining the military. And I think that's probably true or accurate. You know, you join the military, you're really going to find out the kind of person that you are. It's really going to test you, even in basic training. It's really going to make you realize and come to a realization if you truly think you are the person that you think you are. But outside of that, outside of joining the military, I think there's no better mirror in Western culture than the gut-wrenching endeavor of building something from scratch, of going out there and try to make something that you can like live off of and produce off of. And it doesn't matter what level you're at. You know, you could have an organization with just yourself. It could just be your dream, you in a basement or you in a shack somewhere, and you're trying to make it happen. Or it could be overseeing, you know, one with a staff of over 500 people or up to 500 people, 30 people, whatever. The grind within the challenges of growing, scaling, implementing new processes, products, content bleeds out of you. And if you never gain control of yourself, your habits, your thoughts, your emotions, your lifestyles, then you'll never be able to build something that does the same thing. And I really came to that realization. It is truthfully an extension of yourself. I think that's why so many people don't try to do something like this. And I think it's a subconscious thing. I think it's because when you come to a place where you venture out and you have to build it from scratch and you have to try and figure out a way to live off of it, it's almost primal in a way. It almost connects you back to those times where the hunter-gatherer times, where it's like the hunter would go out and find food and sustain themselves in the wilderness. Because that's truthfully what it feels like. You could be doing something that there's multiple businesses for. There's multiple people. I mean, even in like a sales position, you go out there and try to do it. But the primal aspect of it in coming to a place where the biggest mountain you're going to have to climb, the biggest hill you're going to have to overcome, the biggest obstacle you're going to have to overcome is your own demons, is your own desire and ability really to talk yourself into a pitfall, to pull yourself down, to shut doors on yourself and shut out opportunities, like all these things that you're going to have to deal with. And even from building from scratch, we had this organization that I was a part of, and it was a tech organization, and we thought it was going to do wonderful things, and we had 30 staff members, and it just felt like we hit this place and it couldn't go further. And I don't want to say it was because the leadership wasn't skilled or didn't have the ability to do it, and there is some truth to that. However, it wasn't something that the leadership team as a whole, including myself, couldn't overcome by taking their nose to the grindstone and figuring it out. And what started to happen was the things that weren't getting done were a direct result of leadership not willing to do the task. And it almost, in a way, very oddly, because we were all very close, we all kind of had a lot of knowledge of each other's personal life, it oddly mirrored some of the things and the struggles that we were going through in our personal lives. It was super weird, and it feels very difficult, or I feel very bad, and I know it's very difficult for companies because, you know, obviously for a very good reason, you know, they don't ask personal questions in interviews. They legally can't, because you don't want to deal with discrimination, you don't want to deal with all that kind of stuff. But there is an essence of who I am as a person, and is decided or determined upon the things that I do, the things that I, personally do. What do I mean by that? I mean that, if I tell people I'm healthy, I tell people I'm a real health nut. I love to work out. I love to exercise. I'm a health nut. But I never go to the gym, and I don't eat healthy, and I don't eat any kind of healthy food. Then you would call me a hypocrite, and that wouldn't be real. And in the same way, if I tell myself, well, I'm gonna lead these people, and I'm a good leader, and I'm gonna da 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 da, it's the exact same thing. However, though, the discipline that I fail to have in my own life and my own personal standards will never will always bleed across to the lack of discipline within anything that I'm doing. You cannot lead people down a path you have never navigated yourself. And that's the truth. That's the hard truth. And that's why it's such a hard thing to overcome. It's a direct reflection of yourself. You really find out the kind of person that you are. And the problem is that this stuff isn't sexy, right? It sounds sexy to talk about. Like it sounds, everyone gets ooh, ah when people start talking about it. But how this actually manifests in your life is setting that alarm clock up early and actually waking up. Actually taking the steps. When it goes off, you're telling yourself you're going to cut back on the sweets and then actually not eating them, right? All these disciplines with your actions define who you really are. And whatever disciplines you engage in personally will be the disciplines the organization reflects publicly. And even with like a YouTube channel, it's the same thing. I had to get into a habitual, repetitive discipline to maintain and grow and stay growing. That's the other thing. And I had to establish that. But what I really realized is that process and that thing didn't really take place for me until I started implementing it in my own life, like actually doing those things in my own life. Eating healthy, waking up, exercising, making good choices. I'm not just sitting there blitzed out on, social media and all this stuff and coming home and being lazy and not doing anything. And it's like, no, I'm going to get up and I'm going to be productive. And that habitual, repetitive nature of continually pushing myself, almost ingrained in me this desire to push myself here on this platform and to push myself in our own personal businesses and organizations. And it's something that I came to realize in the grind of the startup world. It's something that I came to realize in the grind of the sales world. And it's something that I'm continuing to realize and have revelation of in the YouTube world. And I wanted to share that and kind of get your guys' thoughts. What do you guys think about that? Does that resonate with anything for you? It's something that I can't seem to get away from. And I think it comes to this very deep truth, this root feeling for that primal aspect of living, for that of what it comes back to, the desire to get out there and actually make it happen. And man, when you fail, it hurts. Oh, it hurts because you can't blame anybody but yourself. And no one wants to hear that, and no one wants to struggle with that. That was the hardest thing for me to come to, because I would think about it and like, well, this person da da da, and this person da da da, and it's like, what? At the end of the day, though, there's just as much failure on my end in my department as there was in theirs. And even with this YouTube channel, as well as this and da da da, and the platform, and it's hard to grow and blah blah blah. And it's like, what? They keep changing the rules. YouTube keeps changing the rules. So what are we supposed to do? You know what? It's on me. It's on me and how I respond and how I react and how I engage. And I need to take the reins of this thing, and I need to drive it home. That's the deal. And so, let me know what you guys think about this. I would say, if you're in that spot, what helped me is I started implementing small disciplines in my life. I said to myself, you know what, if I need to create a habitual, disciplined lifestyle for myself. I mean, there's tons of leadership books on it. There's tons of different ownership type books on that. The first one that comes to mind is the one that everyone's probably heard of, which is Jocko Williams' Extreme Ownership. but it's that kind of a principle. It's taking the reins on it and making it happen and doing it and following through. And then once you followed through, and once you've actually done the plan and you did the work and you made it happen and it's still not working, at least you know, okay, this isn't working. I did everything in my power to do it and make it happen, but it's still not working. And then you can properly decipher what the actual issue is. But I have come to realize that 90% of the time, it's not that it doesn't work. It's that I don't want it to work. And now I have to actually fight myself and overcome myself in the process. So I'm really curious to see if anyone else is feeling this way. Comment below, please let me know, because I want to make sure maybe I'm missing something, or maybe it's resonating. I don't know. Let me know. What do you guys think in the comment section below? Like, subscribe, all those things. I will catch you guys on the next one.